Hi and welcome back to another review from Class 47 Peter, and today's review is actually one that's far behind because the loco we're going to look at today is one that should have been reviewed back in March, which is when I first bought this model, and it's now May. And the only reason why it's taken me this long to finally get round to doing a video on it is because I have been busy with things outside of the internet. But I'm here now to do the video on it, so it can be looked at and got out of the way, because I have still got a list of other videos I need to do. There is other videos that I've got planned. So it's time to get this one out of the way and get the other videos that I need to do done. Because I have got a backlog of videos to film and all that. You know, to film and whatever. And edit and so on. But either way, that's not really what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about this locomotive that is, well, technically it's not really that new now, but in one way it is new in the sense of, in terms of a video, but it's not the newest model that I've got in my collection, because like I said, this model was bought back in March. This was bought from the Llangollen Railway's Steel, Steam and Stars 4 event, which when I went down to Llangollen I walked into the shop, the gift shop they had there, looked up in the cabinet, and then I saw this, which is a, if you haven't figured it out already, it's a GWR 4200 heavy tank in Great Western Green. And so I looked at it and I thought, I've got to get this, because this is a model that's been on my wish list for a while now, and so I finally got one. But also, this was actually one of the locos that they had running during that gala. I'm sure you've all seen the Steel, Steam and Stars 4 gala video by now, because it has passed 1,000 views now. And that made me to get this model even more, because it was a locomotive that they had running in real life at the event, and so it made more sense in a way to get it. But either way, now this loco was first released along with others, because they also make the 5200s and the 7200s. The 7200s are a 282, this is a 280. The 282s have 2 wheels at the front, 8 in the middle and 2 at the back. With the 7200s, they have a longer bunker as well as having a 282 wheel arrangement. But the 5200 is more or less the same thing as this one. There's not much different. Now, they first released these models in, was it 2013? It was, I can't remember at the top of my head. But they have been bringing them back out, doing another batch of these models. However, when they first came out, they were not too popular, to say the least. When these were first released, they had no sprung buffers, and the smokebox door darts on the smokebox were moulded on, they weren't put on separately. And among other things, they weren't very popular at all, to be honest. And they didn't look that appealing either when they first came out. However, I can say that there have been some changes to this model. The non-sprung buffers are still there, but I don't really have much care for sprung buffers anyway. But at least the buffers are metal. But it does have, this model, it does indeed have, and with others have started releasing now, they've also released the 7200s again, unless I'm mistaken. But I have looked in a recent magazine that shows that they have been released. And also the BR Black one has come out, or at least one of them has. I think it was either the Early Crest or the Late Crest one, can't remember. But they have now also separately fitted smokebox door darts, so that's good. Not that there's anything wrong with the moulded ones, but the separately fitted ones are nice. But either way, let's quit the jabbering and get this model open. I mean, I never owned one of the older models of these, but I haven't seen anything negative on these yet. Not since they first come out. I mean, I could be wrong. Well, when they first came out, like I said, they weren't really that popular because of things wrong with them and all that. But now Hornby have, when they brought them back out, they have rectified some of these things, which is nice that they've done that. Okay, so it's the usual, what we get now, plastic packaging with Hornby. You got that, which is the tray that the plastic box fits into. We don't need that. The locomotive, of course, is in there. Then there's the instructions. We'll come to those in a bit. So this is the box sleeve. And the locomotive's running number is 4261 in the Great Western Green livery. Then on the back we have the brief history of this locomotive. I'm not sure why there's a big E written on there. Maybe it's to do with its power or something, I'm not too sure. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong in the comments box. So this class of locomotive, it was designed by George Jackson Churchwood, CBE, Chief Mechanical Engineer, of the Great Western Railway from 1902 till 1922. And these locomotives were designed and built due to the increase in mineral traffic in South Wales, which there was a demand for powerful locomotives capable of handling the very heavy loads. The class 42XX, or 4200, whichever you call it, was developed and built especially for moving this heavy freight on short haul trips between the coal mines and ports in South Wales, which is where these engines mostly worked. Although I do believe for a brief period some of them were used on the Licky Banker, because I have seen some archive footage of some of these on the Licky Banker, banking trains up there, but I don't think they lasted long there anyway, to be honest with you. And the locomotives weighed 82 tonnes and had a fuel capacity of 4 tonnes with a water capacity of 1,800 imperial gallons. And the locomotive was fitted with Stevenson piston valve gear, and the boiler pressure was 200 psi. And it goes on to say about all the other details about it. And they were built, there were 60 of them built, of the 280 tanks, and they were built at GWR works in Swindon between 1912 and 1923. And then in 1923 a variant known as the 5205 class was developed, which had larger 19 tonnes 30 cylinder outlined steam pipes and an increased tractive effort. And 14 of the class were rebuilt as class 7200s to increase their operating capabilities. And the total built of both classes was 105, of which 91 were passed on to the newly formed British Railways in 1948. So there's a lot of history here, which is quite good. It's nice to see that they do this. They put brief history on the back of the boxes. They've all, you know, they've done this for yonks, but it's still nice that they do it anyway, because you can have a nice bit of a read on it. Sit down and have a cup of tea and read it, or you can just go onto the internet and find out information about it on there. Interestingly though, it says on here that 3 of this class of locomotive are preserved. However, that's not entirely true, because there's actually 5 of these locomotives in preservation, all of which were saved from Barry Island Scrapyard in South Wales. But you know, mistakes can occur from time to time. They don't slip out the net all the time, but you know, at least they've covered most of the stuff anyway. That's correct. But either way, well, on that note, we'll move on. So now we can look at the instructions for these instructions are pretty much for both the 42 and the 52XX and the 72XX, which these will be the first and only instructions I have for the 4200 anyway. I might get the 7200, I don't know, because if I was, it would be in the same livery as this one, which they would look quite nice double heading. But if I am going to get one of them, it won't be anytime soon yet, because I'm in no rush to get one. And you can see that the locomotive illustrated in these instructions is the 7200 because of the 282 wheel arrangement. and the longer bunker there depicted in the drawing. But anyway, it's all going to be the same sort of thing really, and it's the usual stuff we have seen before. Lubrication, it shows you where to lubricate it. The bits marked red are where the lubrication goes. The body removal, and then fitting the brake rods and DCC ready, and fitting the accessories on. And that's basically it really. That's almost all you need to know. So, instructions go to one side. Then we'll take the plastic case off the locomotive. Right, sorry about that, peeps. Just as I was recording the bit where I took the plastic sleeve off, I had someone tapping on the window, which is a bit irritating, but still. So this is the bag of accessories, which it's the usual thing in there. You've got the brake rod, the coupling, which is a spare one to fit on the front, but I'm not going to really need that, so I can just go into the spares. But if I ever want to put it on the front, I can just slot it into place later and take out the spares box. But for the most part, that coupling's not really going to be needed anyway. There is also some footsteps in there for the front, and there's some brake pipes. There's that one for the back, which is looped, and then the one for the front is just there, as you can see, which is that one. As you can see, I've just shut the bag up so you can see it more clearly. And that one goes on the front. We'll put those to one side to add on the loco later. So now we open up the packaging, lift the model out, and then we'll put the remaining packaging to one side. And so now we are free to have a look at the model. And here she is. Wow, look at this. This is a stunner. Where do we begin in terms of the detail? Well, the first thing I want to point out, the eagle-eye among you will notice that the safety valve here has been painted, which when you get the model brand new from a shop, as you can see in the photograph on the box, the safety valve is green. However, I have painted it, which is, I do believe I used either Revell brass paint or Revell gold paint, but the reason I used Revell is because it leaves no marks on the model, and so it's also easier to wash off, especially on your fingers, but that's not really the case with umbral paint. But even so, but I painted it because in reality, especially with the real 4200 I saw during the Steel, Steam and Stars 4 event on the Llangollen Railway, the safety valve on that particular locomotive, which was 4270, that was visiting the line, its safety valve is painted gold. But I used brass paint because I think it looked nice. Yeah, it was Revell brass paint now, I've remembered, but I actually do quite like it being this colour. And it's nice to see it's been painted as well, because it does add to the look of it. Not that there was anything wrong with it when it was painted green, but you know, I just prefer it being painted like this. It would have been nice if they had painted it already, but you know, that's just a little niggle thing. It's not a major criticism. But anyway, you know, just look at the model. The first thing I want to point out is its weight. Now, it might not be the heaviest locomotive I've ever held, but you will be surprised at what she can pull. You know, there's still weight in here at the end of the day, but I have had this locomotive, when I took it out the box and had it running on the track to make sure she worked, I had her coupled up to the rake of mineral wagons with the real slates in them, and she could haul them with ease. And you will see that in this review. I will get her coupled up to the mineral wagons so you can see how strong she is. So even if she might not be the heaviest locomotive I've held ever, there's still weight in here. And she's still heavy, but just not the heaviest locomotive I've held. But sorry about that then, I had to cough. But she can still haul quite a load, regardless whatever with the weight situation. But anyway, so back to the detail. Here are the nice big cylinders that they have. In reality, there is some rivets on there, as you can see. And we've also got drain cocks added. Now, I didn't fit these, they already come fitted, as you can see. Which is nice, because sometimes they can be a bit of a pain to add on. That's an NEM socket for the coupling to go into, should you add it on the front. You've got nice metal buffers. Now, they're not sprung, but again, I don't really care about that. You know, I'm just glad it's got metal buffers anyway. There's rivets on the buffer beam, as you can see. That's the hole for the brake pipe to go into. And there's the locomotive's running number printed on the front, 4261. You've got lamp irons on the running board, and just look at all these rivets. That adds to detail, it really does. Then you've got this detail here, from under the smoke box coming down onto the running board. You've got some small handrails there as well, as you can see. You've even got some lamp irons on the side of the running board as well, which in reality they would be used to slot lamps on, because I have in many cases seen locomotives where the lamps are fitted on the side of the smoke box. And so it would be nice if you could put that on. I mean, you can always get some lamps and glue them in there. Or if you want to use just temporary lamps, which is what I kind of do, although sometimes I forget to add them on. I didn't say that. Then, you know, you could just add them on there temporary anyway. Just blue tack them on. But even so, you've got a bogey wheel there at the front, which swings left and right easily, which is what you want, because if it didn't swing like this, being this easy to do so, it would just derail. And then just look at the valve gear we have. Oh, there's some grubby marks then on the side of the tanks. There we go, I wiped them off. Just look at the valve gear you've got, and the link motion, and the side rods. I can't wait to see that moving again. So it has been a while since I last ran this locomotive. You've even got rivets on the running plate as well, which is nice. And there's even rivets on the chassis there, just look at that. You know, that is stunning. There's some steps there as well, already put on. You've got handrails coming down the side of the cab, on both sides. As you can see, and they are metal ones too. Yes, I'm assuming that the E, as you can see there, you got the little E there printed on the side of the cab. I'm assuming that means it's power. I think it must be. I am nearly 100% certain on that, but I am pretty certain that the E means it's power. Because I understand the A you see on the locomotives is the locomotive's power, so then the E must be. There's a vent on the top of the cab. Now it's not an opening one, and it's just moulded onto the cab, but you know, it still looks nice. And besides, you've got rivets on the cab as well, which is always nice to see. You've got another handrail there at the side of the bunker, again on both sides. And just look at all the rivets you get on the bunker, especially the ones that go diagonally downwards there to that handrail. That looks really nice, and that's realistic as well, because you see that on the real thing. Then there's the locomotive's number plate, 4261. There's some more rivets on the tanks there as well, and lots of them. The livery is spot on. I've got the Great Western Green livery accurately, if that's the right way to say it. And the Great Western lettering is very nicely printed on the side. Just look at that. It looks really nice. You've also got the washout plugs on the top of the tanks and the water filler caps. There's another handrail there on top of the boiler, and rivets on the smoke box. You've got the... that is basically the safety valve. These are the whistles, and they are turned metal, which is nice. And there's glazing in the front of the cab windows, like there should be, as you can see. You've got a nice chimney there as well, with rivets around that. You could add a smoke generator unit in there if you wanted, but I'm not going to really want to do that. You get some fine metal handrails going around the side of the smoke box and on the front of the smoke box door. There's an lamp on top of the smoke box. Then you've got the smoke box door stripes, as you can see there. And then the smoke box door darts, which, as you can see, they are put on separately. As you can see, because you've got that little gap there. If they weren't put on separately, then you wouldn't have that little gap. But even so. Then of course you've got, well, there's more rivets on the side of the tanks on the other side, and the bunker. And another running plate there, running board. Sorry, another number plate. Come on Peter, get it right. And also you got this detail here, as you can see, which is very nice. I'm not too sure what it is, but it's detailed up. There's rivets on that as well, and also there, that is like a little step of some sort. So basically there's two there. So basically the crew can just climb onto the locomotive, grab onto the side of the handrails, and they can just put the feet on there and climb up to the water tank. And also on the water filler caps, you've got little handles there on both of them, which is really nice. But just be careful, because they are going to be fragile, because they look like they could break easy. So just remember that. And you've got the boiler bands as well, and there's some piping down the side there. And then the cab detail, it is painted, as you can see, which is very nice. And you can even see it through there, because there's a little gap here, which should be there, because on the real thing I have seen this gap there, which looks really nice. However, if you were fussed about it, you could always put some plastic hide in there and paint it up to cover that up if you wish. Then there's these guidons on the back of the windows, like it is in reality. And it looks like there's even some glazing in there as well. Just look at that. That is a really nice touch. You know, wow. You know, that is detail for you. There's glazing in those windows and they put guidons over them. Usually you don't get that. You just have the guidons and no glazing. But you know, in this case, you've got some glazing in there with it too, which is nice. Then there's the coupling at the back, which is a steam tension one. And it has the dovetail connector, as you can see there. Or pigeon tail, as I prefer to call it. You've got the sanding gear there as well. More rivets on the running plate and the running board. You know, that was what I meant to say earlier. Then on the back of the bunker, there's loads more rivets, and there's even some lamp irons too. And then again, these are like some more steps, so the crew can just climb up onto these and just climb up onto the coal, if they wanted to do that. There's more rivets on the rear running board, and the locomotive's number is printed on the back there, and another hole for the brake pipe to go into. And then the coal in the bunker. Now I don't know if this is removable or not. It might not be, and there's only one way to find out. Get a needle and try and lift the coal out of the bunker. It wouldn't surprise me if the coal was not removable though. Sorry, I've just knocked the tripod. Oh no, hang on a minute, what's this? Whoa. Oh my god. I am getting a bit overexcited with this, but come on, get out. The coal in the bunker is removable. Now, I've never seen that before. That is the first time I've seen removable coal in a bunker. Wow. Well done, Hornby. Well done for doing that. You know, because it was about time that they did start putting removable coal in bunkers, let's be honest. Because how many times have they done it with tenders and never with bunkers? In fact, I'm going to leave this out and I'm going to put the real coal in the bunker in this video. You know. Well, I've got a bit overexcited with that, but, you know, well done, Hornby. Now, Batman, if you're watching, you need to do this as well. Because if Hornby can do it, then you can as well. And there's even some nice detail inside the bunker there as well. Just look at that detail there as well. It is loose, so be careful. But wow. On that note, I don't think there's anything else more to say. You know, she is a stunning locomotive. She really is. And for the money you get, it's definitely worth it. But anyway, let's get the coal in the bunker, as I promised, and then we can get her running round on the track. Okay, so now we're gonna add the real coal in the bunker. You will have to excuse, I should point out at this point, my croaky voice. That is because I've got a bit of a sore throat. But I'm going to plough on regardless. So you will also have to excuse any coughing I do in the video, because I have already done some, but you know, never mind. Could be worse. So we've got some PVA glue, which is the suitable stuff to use for this video. I have lowered the tripod, so that's why you can't quite see it fully. We've got a brush. And also, we're going to need some dropper glue. With a pipette in it. It's like this is turning into a how-to video. But I have already done how-tos on adding real coal anyway. Then there's the real coal. I'll move all this stuff out the way that's not necessary, you know, because this workbench is chock-a-block at the moment, I will be honest. But anyway, so we'll get the PVA glue in first. So get a bit on the brush. There we are. So that's the PVA glue in place. Then comes the real coal, which I am going to have to get some more because I am running low on this stuff. That's interesting. I've got some bits there that are stuck together, so I'll just pick those out. I'll have to sort those bits out later. I suppose I should use a spoon for this really, but because I've done most of it with my fingers, I've got used to using my fingers. This could take a while. So I can put a bit more stuff in and then we can add the dropper glue. Okay, there we are. We aren't going to need the brush anymore, so a drop of glue comes in. I'm using this little pipette, which I recommend you to do. And that's basically it. All in a day's work. Yeah, I have got a bit of glue on the rear there. It's just drop of glue anyway. I'll just get a bit of tissue and then wipe that off, which I'll do off camera. Okay, so as soon as that glue is dried, we can then put the loco on the track. So I'll be back in, I can't say a tick, well, because to you it's going to be like seconds, so I'll be back soon. Okay, so here we are, the layout. And so we're going to put the heavy tank onto the tracks. And the glue is dry now that we used to glue the real coal in place. Just want to quickly point out that you'll have to excuse these locomotives being on the layout, these three here. That's because they're going to be put back in the on the shelf, but you know, because one thing I should also say, as you'll notice, there is some gravel on the floor now. Before it just used to be a blue tarpaulin, and so the locomotives had to come off the shelf in order to do that and then be put back on again. These three have yet to be put back on, because I'm going to dust them off and then put them back on the shelf after. Also, round here the fences for here have still got to be put on. They'll be glued into place. But the security fencing over there has been taken off because it's going to be glued back into place again, but it was glued before too close to the layout and the locomotives would catch on it. And also all the fencing on the side of the road has been taken off because it was just blue tacked on before. Now it's going to be glued into place just like the other fencing is. That will be done later though, so you'll see that by the next video anyway. There's a bit of glue tack on the fence in here. But either way, so let's just zoom in on the loco. Let's give it a quick wiggle. Oh yeah, look at that. She runs fine. She hasn't been running a while though, I should point it out. So she might be a little bit stiff. Oh, she stopped on some dirty track. She might need some lubrication as well actually. Yeah, I think she's going to need some lube. So I'll be back in a tick. Okay, well the locomotive has been lubricated. And so now she should run a lot better. Although bear in mind she's still going to need the running in anyway, because it's been God knows how many months since she last ran. Also, while I was doing the lubrication, I used the time to do a few things on the layout. But anyway, so let's get this locomotive running around the layout. Okay, so our motor is now eased up a bit. What I should point out is that off camera I had to go around and clean all the tracks because she was stuttering on them, which is something I've never experienced with a new loco before. Usually I'll manage over the dirty tracks fine, but the tracks are clean now and she's running smoothly. But this is why lubricating your models is important. You excuse the noise of the gravel if you can hear it, but that can't really be helped. Well yeah, back to the modelling, she's running well now, because before on the dirty track she was, as I said earlier, stuttering a bit. But she's running fine now and that's what we like to see. She still needs a bit of a running in though. So there she goes past the siding where all the wagons are there. waiting to be pulled by her. Let's get a close up of that link motion and valve gear moving. Look at that. Passing through the station where all the people are waiting to get on. Now over here, these security fences have been glued back on, so excuse the paint pots being there. They're just there to use as weights to hold the fencing up. Oh yes, this part is also new, but there's going to be an update video where I'm showing some of the latest modelling projects and stuff I've been doing, so look out for that. Some bits will need to be refilmed on that, but still, well, for some things anyway. Oh, and also around here, the fences, well, the church have been glued back on. So all I need to do now really with the fences is glue the ones on the road back on. And another thing as well, if I just quickly show you. Remember when I said the one bulb on these lights had burnt out? Well, they're all working again now. And that's funny because I didn't even mend that bulb, so I don't know what happened with it. It must have just been having an off moment or something. But anyway, so there she goes, passing the loco yard. But the HST is still on the layout. That will be put onto the shelf soon. And so here's some of the locos. You've got the Rod, the LNR 04, the Thompson 01, the V2, which that's the older tooling. I will be getting the newer tooling when it comes out. And Fox Hunter, the A1. But yeah, the model's running really well, the 4200. And of course you've got the locomotives here, being Great Northern, the A1, the Gresley one, Wellington, what did I nearly say, Cheltenham then? Get it right. And the N-Class, which will be put back on the shelf soon, but you already knew about that. But yeah, she runs smooth. So what we'll do now is we'll get some close-ups of that before we'll get her coupled up to the rack of mineral wagons, which will be a lot of fun. Okay, so the heavy tank is now coupled up to the rake of mineral wagons. As you saw her shunt them out of the sidings. Now she can cope with that, but can she cope pulling these around the layout? Well, like I said earlier in the video, when I first got the model, I had her running around the layout hauling these, and she can cope well. And to show you just how well she does, let's get her rolling. So she's off to a good start. I love the sound of the mineral wagons make when they go over the rail joints. It sounds very realistic. Oh yes, the two aeroplanes that were here have been moved off because they've got to have repairs done. Just thought I'd point them out. And she'll pop out the other end. Look at that. You know, it's almost as if that they're not there to her. Now she can pull them with ease, and bear in mind it's not the heaviest loco I've held. She's heavy, I will give it that, but not as heavy as compared to other locomotives I've held in my hands. But you know, this is what you want. You want the locomotive to pull a long train. You know, you don't want there to pull trains that are really short. Because you know, these are heavy tanks. They were designed for hauling long rakes of wagons. I know there's only 11 wagons and a brake van, but you know, that's fairly long anyway. Though I am quite tempted to extend this rake. What do you think? I think it has to be done, but even so. Right, so what we'll do now, we'll get some close-ups of her hauling the mineral wagons. So as a final conclusion, well, you know what? I think what you've seen in this video sums it up. It pretty much speaks for itself. I recommend it, and if you have not got one of these, then it needs to go into your wish list. You have to get one, especially if you're a fan of your Great Western locomotives. Its detail and its strength, for what you get with your money, it's definitely worth it. Well done, Hornby. They may not have been perfect to start with, but the updated one, the next batch, you've pretty much outdone yourself.